Hi, I'm Angus Kress Gillespie, your host for Old Ways in New Jersey, here on East Brunswick Television. I'm here today with Pete McDonough, a blues musician. Pete has been studying, playing, writing about American acoustic blues for more than 40 years. His stories and songs provide powerful insights in some of the great American blues players, ranging from the Reverend Gary Davis to Bo Carter, Mississippi John Hurt, as well as more modern acoustic guitar players. He just released a new CD called Fat in Paris. This album includes a variety of legendary and obscure Delta blues and Piedmont blues, as well as his own originals that draw from the great American acoustic blues tradition. It's my pleasure to welcome Pete McDonough to our studio today. Pete, tell us, how were you introduced to the blues? How did it all get started?
Angus, how it got started was the Plainfield Public Library. I was actually a fan of those British invasion groups, and it all led back to Robert Johnson, more or less. And then I went down to the Plainfield Public Library and listened to the Smithsonian Folkways collection that had a lot of Big Bill Broonzy and Leadbelly and people like that. And then I found the complete recordings of Robert Johnson. It's all recorded in 1936, I believe, and 27 songs that have become the staples. Were the heart of all the British blues stuff. Eric Clapton and John Mayall and those guys, and just fell in love with it then. And I just became that odd guy who listened to that in the library. And the library was great because you had headphones and a little listening carrel, and it was just a wonderful library. Libraries are great places.
Yeah. So Robert Johnson, he's a key figure in blues, and although he died at age 27, he's still very much alive as far as the music goes. How's he influenced your music?
He's influenced it. My truest influence is probably Reverend Davis, but Robert Johnson influenced it because his stuff is popular and people know it, they recognize it. And I had the honor of being able to open up and play with Honey Boy Edwards, who was his sidekick. And this was about 10 years ago or so, and people rally around Robert Johnson, and they rally around his story. His story is mythical. It's iconic. It's selling his soul to the devil.
At the
how was he
crossroads.
killed at the crossroads, and how was he killed? How did he die? And Honey Boy tells a story about that, and it's funny. Somebody said, "So tell me about the day Robert died." And Honey Boy looked over and goes, "Well, it was a Wednesday." Now, I looked over at Woody Mann, who was with me at the time, and we both sort of rolled our eyes. And then I went home, and I looked on the perpetual calendar, and I checked the date that Robert Johnson died, and it was a Wednesday.
Wow.
Yeah, it was funny. It was funny, and Robert Johnson has quite a following, and even for people who find the blues hard to access, hard to hear, hard to listen to, Robert Johnson stuff has a style all of its own.
So give us an example, say Kind-Hearted Woman.
I'll do that. It's the Kind-Hearted Woman Blues by Robert Johnson. I got a kind-hearted woman, do anything in this world for me. Kind-hearted woman, do anything in this world for me. Oh, but them evil-hearted women, they will not let me be. I love my baby, ooh, my baby sure don't love me. I love my good gal, my baby sure don't love me. I'm just crazy about that woman, I can't seem to let her be. You ain't but one thing make me wanna stop and take a drink. I swear by how you treat me, baby, I began to think, oh baby, my love just don't seem the same. I really hate it when you call me Mr. So-and-so's name. Yeah, she's a kind-hearted woman, seemed to fall for younger men. Kind-hearted woman who seemed to fall for younger men. Now that means I only have to love her just about every now and then. I ain't no jockey. My daddy taught me how to ride. Ain't no jockey. My daddy taught me how to ride. Said, boy, you just slip down into the saddle. You got to rock from side to side. I said, there ain't but one thing make Mr. Johnson want to stop and take a drink. Swear by how you treat me, baby, I begin to think, oh, baby, my love just don't feel the same. Especially when you whisper in my ear, but you call me some other man's name. Yeah, she's a kind-hearted woman, studies evil all the time. She's a kind-hearted woman, she studies evil all the time. Angus, she wants you to kill me, just so you have it, so you have it, so you have it on your mind. Kind-hearted blues, Robert Johnson.
Well, the kind-heartedness is kind of ironic there.
The blues is nothing but irony.
Yeah.
Irony and love songs all pulled together, you know. So Robert Johnson supposedly was poisoned by either a woman or her husband.
Yeah, because he had a reputation of flirting with the women in the audience, and that didn't always go down well with the boyfriends.
Kept him moving.
Yeah.
Kept him moving.
And they said he would always roll up his pants when he went to the next town, so it'd be freshly pressed.
I don't know about that, but I do know he cut quite a figure. There are pictures of him with his hat and a cigar, eerie picture of him with a hat on and a cigarette in his hands. He was quite a guy. And to think that his sidekick, Honey Boy Edwards, just was alive until 5 years ago and still playing. Was just
and did many documentary tributes.
Yeah.
So let's move on to Reverend Gary Davis. He has these salt of the earth vocals, which gives his music great vitality. How did he influence you?
How he influenced me, it was, I listened to Reverend Davis and I realized that this guy had a whole orchestra and a guitar. Reverend Davis is probably the most sophisticated of the blues players. He did things. To understand Reverend Davis you need to know that he was born in Lawrence, South Carolina in 1896. Blind. So what's a blind African American kid going to do in 1896? Not much. And he said he heard a guy playing Candyman on a guitar and he thought it was a big brass band. How did he know any different? And so Reverend Davis learned several styles of music. He would play spirituals, he'd play blues. It had a driving bass line, it had counterpoint in the bass. He did a lot of up the neck harmonizing, and to me it was a complete show. And when I opened up for a guy named Roy Bookbinder, who was one of Reverend Davis's students in 1975, and he leaned across the table at the American Hotel and he said, "You really want to learn to play this stuff? You got to find Woody Mann." So I went out and I found Woody in New York City, probably 1976 by that time. And Woody was also one of Reverend Davis's students. He took me under his wing and taught me a lot. And what I learned about Reverend Davis is he was the teacher for almost everybody who amounted to anything in the New York folk blues scene in the 60s. Dave Van Ronk, Dave Bromberg, Jorma Kaukonen, Woody, Stephen Grossman, just everybody learned from Reverend Davis. So I think he's touched me indirectly through all the people that he touched.
Wow.
And
it's like the laying on of hands.
It is. And, you know, Reverend Davis, if I could tell a story, he just played blues stuff until, you know, he went up to the tobacco warehouses in Durham, North Carolina, and played there. And he played nothing but blues until he found Jesus, which will happen if you spend enough time around the tobacco warehouses, I suppose. And then he played almost exclusively spiritual stuff for the rest of his life. Huh. He was rediscovered, as so many people didn't realize they were lost, were rediscovered in the 60s, and had quite a career, really helped financially by Peter, Paul, and Mary, who recorded a few of his songs. And he actually got the royalties, which was an odd thing. Instead of the royalties going to the Lomax family, he actually got the royalties and managed to buy himself a house in Queens. He called it the house Peter, Paul, and Mary built.
Huh.
Yeah.
So Let Us Get Together, how about that?
Let Us Get Together is a gospel tune of Reverend Davis's, and it's one of the first tunes of Reverend Davis's that I learned. Oh, let us get together, right down here. Oh, let us get together, right down here. I said, let us get together, right down here. Oh, come on, get together, right down here. And let us do our living, people, right down here. Oh, let us do our living, right down here. I said, let us do our living, right down here. Oh, come on, live together, right down here. And let us pray together, right down here. Oh, let us pray together. I said, right down here. Oh, let us pray together, right down here. Oh, come on, pray together. Yeah, right down here. I said, let us dance together, right down here. Oh, let us dance together, right down here. I said, let us dance together, right down here. Oh, come on, dance together, right down here. Come on and dance. Come on. Oh, let us do our living, people, right down here. Oh, let us do our living, I say, right down here. Oh, let us live together, right down here. Oh, come on, get together. Yeah, come on, get together. Oh, come on, get together, right down here. Let us get together, Reverend Gary Davis.
It's kind of a hymn to sociability.
It's a prayer. Let us get together. Let us stop fighting. Let us, this is a guy who.
Why can't we all get along?
Why can't we all get along? Which is, so much of what he did. He did songs like "I Am the Light of This World" and "There's a Destruction in This Land," and it all has a blues. Sort of a lot of. It's a real counterpoint. It's a left hand of a piano, and you think about it. He was doing this in front of a congregation of dozens, a congregation of dozens of people in a storefront church in Harlem, and he was also playing on the streets. Played at 126th Street and Broadway, and or Lexington, I think. I'm not sure which.
Yeah.
But he's just got to play and got to be heard over the din of the traffic.
Yeah.
It requires a lot, and and he's a blind man just out there making a living. It's a great story.
So let's move on to Bo Carter. he was very ribald and had a lot of sexual motifs and double entendres. How did he influence your music?
He just influenced my music, well, a couple of things. One, he actually came up to New York at the same time as Reverend Davis, and so they recorded some things at the same time and together, and then the Reverend said he wasn't going to do dirty songs anymore.
Yeah.
So Bo Carter probably influenced me because, well, you said double entendre. He's the king of the single entendre. There's no mystery about what he's talking about.
Yeah.
And those kind of funny songs, you know, race music, if you will, captures people's imagination, and they think it's funny. And I think that funny cleverness is really just a way to get people's attention, and then you can actually demonstrate the music. Bo Carter was in the Mississippi Sheiks. His real name was Armentier Chapman, the Chapman brothers, and they were
pretty famous family.
Very famous family, and Roy Bookbinder will tell you that he recorded 300 sides all about a different woman. I don't know if any of that's true, but it's a good story.
Yeah.
One of my favorite tunes, if you will, is "She's your cook, but she burns my bread sometimes." It sort of goes like this.
Okay.
She's your cook, man. She burns my bread sometime. She got all the mixins, make everything turn out fine. I ain't singing this song just to be bold, but I swear I love the way she twists a jelly roll. She's your cook, burns my bread sometime. Yes, I said she's your cook, man. She burns my bread sometime. Girl got all of the mixin', make everything turn out fine. I was out in your pasture, man, you was not at home. Soon as you left the house, I got my good work on. She's your cook, burns my bread sometime. Burn it. Yeah, you're his cook, girl, you burn my bread sometime. You got all the mixins, make everything turn out fine. Listen here, cook, I think you're moving too fast. Man gonna come step on you, yes, 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 you're his cook. You burn my bread sometime. Yeah, I said she's your cook, burns my bread sometime. Girl got all the mixins, make everything turn out fine. Listen here, man, I think you ought to know. Using your money in your jelly roll, you're his cook. You burn my bread, yeah, your cook. Burns my bread, she's his cook. Burns my bread sometime.
It's not too subtle.
It's not too subtle. It's, you know, he used the word jelly roll a lot. Nobody misunderstood what he was talking about.
It's pretty clear.
Yeah, it's kind of a shame because he's got some really sophisticated playing there. A bunch of tricks in that song that are hard to pull off, and sometimes it gets overlooked by the words. But you know, anything to keep people interested. You know, part of what I've tried to do in 45 years of playing this kind of music exclusively. I put a flat pick down in 1972 and never picked one up again. Is try to keep this music alive. And if it's, some of it's hard, some of it's tough on the ears, some of it is, some of the lyrics are tough, some of the music is grinding. And so if you gotta throw a funny line in every now and then or find a tune that may be full of double entendre or single entendre, if it keeps people interested, that's great. You know, you think of tunes like Diddy Wah Diddy, which was, you know, kind of a jumpy little Blind Blake tune that Ry Cooder really popularized in the 70s with Eubie Blake on the piano. it's a catchy little tune, and those catchy little tunes keep people interested. Or a lot of the stuff that Taj Mahal does, the fishing blues and things like that he does, really introduce this kind of music to a lot of people and keep it alive. And that's what I do. I'm trying to keep it alive.
Yeah, well, you also write your own material once in a while. So let us consider like a song of your own composition. The title song of the album, Fat in Paris, it seems to be about a man who would like to hook up with a woman, but he's plagued by hesitation.
That's not exactly it, but I'll explain it to you.
Okay.
It's so it's funny. So you talk about writing tunes, and a lot of these tunes have a half-life of about a day. You know, they're just kind of things rhyme, and you throw them together, and you
hope for the best.
Throw them out there, and then you throw them away, or you forget about them. And I played up at Godfrey Daniels Coffee House in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, which is a wonderful, wonderful acoustic venue. It's about maybe an hour and 10 minutes from East Brunswick, New Brunswick area, and it's a great, great, great performance space. It's now celebrating, I think, its 40th birthday. So I put this song together, played it up there, completely forgot about it, and a month later somebody asked me to sign a release because they had it on a recording of sort of a best of Godfrey Daniels. The story behind the tune is looking at Facebook. So you look at Facebook and you find those old girlfriends, or you find the one that got away, and sometimes you find that person and you don't realize just how lucky you were. And so this is a song mostly about getting lucky in the real sense of the word. Okay, this is the Fat in Paris Blues. Was written about a year ago. Sweet Sue, she's a runaround kind. Left this morning with a pal of mine. I never had a chance to thank him. I hope you have a real good time. Oh yeah, I said the way you treat your daddy is a capital crime, just like murder in the first degree. Had a dime for every time you took your shoe to me. I'd be living fat in Paris with the bourgeoisie. 6 children that don't look like me. Tell me, Daddy, just how could that be? I never had a chance to thank him. Hope you have a real good time. Oh yeah, I said the way you treat your daddy is a capital crime, just like murder in the first degree. Had a dime for every time you took your shoe to me. I'd be living fat in Paris with the bourgeoisie. Sweet Sue. I said the way you treat your daddy is a doggone shame. Hail Mary, have mercy on me. Had a dime for every time you took your shoe to me. I'd be living fat in Paris with the bourgeoisie. Fur coat and a Cadillac car. Collecting husbands like a movie star. I never had a chance to thank him. I hope you have a real good time. Oh yeah, I said the way you treat your daddy is a capital crime, just like murder in the first degree. Had a dime for every time you took your shoe to me. I'd be living fat in Paris with the bourgeoisie. Sweet Sue, run around kind. Left this morning with a pal of mine. I never had a chance to thank him. Never had a chance to thank him. I'd be living fat in Paris with the bourgeoisie. Fat in Paris Blues, a true story, a true love song. Like all the blues, a true love song.
Based a little bit on fact.
Based a little bit on fact, based on a couple words that rhyme.
Okay.
You know, although I do have a fondness for Paris. If I could live in Paris, I think I'd go there in a minute. And it's actually
live out the fantasy.
Live out the fantasy. It's actually there's a real respect for American blues out in Europe. I've had the honor of playing at a festival in England with Woody, and it was really just was remarkable to see how much people over there care about it. And in fact, the CDs, I get these little tracking results in the CDs, and I will tell you it's available on, it's Fat in Paris Blues, it's available on CD Baby, it's on Amazon. It's also on the streaming services, Spotify and iTunes and things like that. And I get reports back, and it's sold several dozen copies, which is, by the way, a big deal, in the Netherlands and Japan. And like, who knew?
Yeah.
How would anybody know? Cracks me up. I feel like an international star now. It's just not East Brunswick.
Well, talking about locality, tell us about some of your memorable moments at the New Jersey Folk Festival.
The New Jersey Folk Festival is a real gem, and it's and thank you for asking about it, because I think it's overlooked. I think people don't realize. First off, it's free, and the weather's always beautiful. It's never not been a beautiful day. And Angus, you asked me, I think 3 years ago, to perform at the Pineland stage, which is a sort of a workshop-y kind of stage, and I guess maybe set for 100 people or so. And it's just a lovely venue. You know, when you play the blues, you play in a lot of awful places, and the New Jersey Folk Festival is not one of them. The sound quality is great. The people who work the audio are wonderful. The setting is breathtaking, and it's just full of life. And you know, one of the things that really warms my heart at the Folk Festival is the people who come back. I mean, I can't blame people for, you know, coming in by mistake and getting this, but people actually come back and they say, "I saw you last year. Remember that song you did?" And, oh my goodness, I don't remember. But you know, there's, you know, tens of thousands of people come to the New Jersey Folk Festival. It's a great family environment, great musicians of all sorts, and also a healthy dose of traditionalism, and that's awfully important. You know, I see so many of these kids when I'm playing in bars or coffee houses, and they're all, you know, making goo-goo eyes at each other and trying to hook up or do whatever it is the kids do these days. And then every now and then there'll be somebody who's paying attention to the words and the stories and trying to understand the tradition. And that's really special. And the New Jersey Folk Festival is full of that. It's to your credit as
Thank
the
you.
executive director for decades.
Yeah.
Back when that music was new.
Yes. So you've been doing this music for a long time. Do you have any plans to teach the younger generation?
I teach anybody who wants me to show them what I do. I'm happy to sit down and show them. You know, I was blessed that Woody Mann was willing to take me under his wing for several years, and I think those of us who know this odd style have an obligation to pass it on.
Well, Pete, I want to thank you for coming out here
thanks for
to
having
East
me.
Brunswick today, and we really enjoyed listening to your music.
Thanks for having me, Angus.
Okay.
The pleasure is all mine.